Well, hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Double Take the Podcast. I'm Chris, Josh, our co-host, and today we are talking...
Why do you always get to be I have to be the co-host, and that means you're the host?
No, we're co-hosts together.
So, is that how that works?
Yeah, I'm a co-host. And
you
you're
don't ever
co-host.
say, hey, this is Chris, your co-host, and this is... You always make it out like you're the host. Well, I'm just over here.
Well, because you want me to start it out, so somebody has to start it out, and then somebody else.
Sure, that's what
it
is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay,
we're in this together.
I know. That's how the bills are labeled.
But aside from all that, I'm glad we got that straightened out.
Thank you.
We're two co-hosts, and coming to you today with our friend. And legendary soprano singer, probably one of the most well-known female voices in gospel music,
Absolutely.
and that's Karen Peck.
Yep.
And Karen Peck Gooch, sorry. And we don't want to leave Ricky out. So
that's okay.
Welcome
to this. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Y'all already made me start laughing. So about the co-hosting thing.
Well,
because when you start, I'm sure when you started this podcast, you didn't even think anything about it, but after you get into it and everything, wait a second, I'm doing as much talking as you are.
Yep.
It's so funny.
He says that I do more talking, so if anybody's going to be the host, I think it ought to be
There
me.
you go.
Well, that's true.
But really,
that's a good argument.
About the Karen Peck, Ricky, we've been married 36 years, and we dated 3.5 years. So, and to this day, if he's ever calling me through the house, Karen Peck, where are you? He never calls me Karen Gooch.
Really?
Ever. He's never,
just always done that?
To my recollection, ever in the past, he has never called me Karen Gooch.
Well, see, now we learned something already in the first 2
there you
minutes.
go.
That's right.
That we didn't even know.
I didn't know that.
Time.
And you know, this is the second go-around, Josh.
Yeah,
that we've tried
Jackson
to get
blew
this
it.
interview, and the last one didn't work due to technical
Jackson
difficulties.
blew it.
Yeah, but I want to make sure that when we start this, now, am I going to be one of your co-hosts?
Yes. No, you're a guest.
You're a guest.
Oh, I'm the guest.
You're a guest.
Okay.
Listen, we are coming up for contract negotiations,
Okay.
renegotiations. So you could be, if you would like to come in.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I don't know.
But
Chris is very sensitive, so I don't know if.
Yeah. Well, today I'll just be your guest. Instead of, like, today, I'm not going to be one of your co-hosts. So
No, you'll be
there
a
you go.
guest today.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about how we'll move forward.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll negotiate. Yeah.
But I do have a question that we didn't ask first time that we tried to do this.
The thing about it is we have to go back and act like we never did that podcast that was absolutely unbelievable.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't remember what we asked.
I remember some of it, but we're going to have to start from scratch like we don't know anything about
true.
Karen Peck.
But going back to your name, do you, and we'll get into the group formation and all this when you became Karen Peck and New River. But so Ricky was okay with you naming the group Karen Peck and New River, and
absolutely
not putting his last name in there.
Mm-hmm.
How does that?
It was never an issue. Matter of fact, I didn't want to put Karen Peck on the name on New River. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know, I traveled with the Nelons all of the 80s, traveled with Elvis Lefebvre in 1980, then exactly a year later went with the Nelons, Rex Nelon Singers.
It was the Rex Nelon Singers, so he kind of set precedent on the name.
Yeah. So, and then...
the first name thing.
Yeah. So so after I left the Nelons, when we were discussing starting a group, well, you know, I always want New River to be a spiritual thing, but it actually came from a sweater. Danny Crawford was playing the piano with us and was actually helped us start New River. And so we were talking about names. What should we name the group? And so everybody said, well, okay, we'll just come up with 10 names. Everybody think about it over the week, and when we meet next week for rehearsal, we'll go over names. So we all had all these names written down, and that's been taken. Oh, we don't want that. And then at the very end, Danny Crawford said, hey, wait a second. My wife gave me a sweater for Christmas, and in the tag, it said New River, and I just thought that'd be the greatest name for a group, a gospel group.
Wow.
And so we said, New River. Oh, wait a second. because Jesus loved to be around water, and we were new. We were hoping that we would bring something new to the industry and refreshing, and so that really stayed with all of us. So when we came back the following week, it was hands down it needed to be New River. Well, at the time, Elders Fox, the owner of the Kingsman Quartet, and also part of Horizon Records, it was Pinnacle Records at the time, though. And so they were going to sign New River because I had just done my first solo project with them. And so then when we said, okay, Elders, and he was, our producer, and we said, okay, we would love to name the group New River. And he said, oh, I like that. He said, okay, I've never heard that. We'll go with New River, but we need to do Karen Peck and New River. And I went, no. I said, no, that is so embarrassing. And I knew my peers would laugh me out of the room. It's like, no way. And he said, but Karen, he said, you've been with the Nelons for 10 years. Yeah. And this way people will know where you are and what you're doing. And then in 5 years, you can just drop the name. Yeah. And so it's been 35 years now, and we still have the name.
And that kind of set precedence because 2 years later, Brian started Brian Free and Assurance, and then you had Tony Gore and Majesty. Yeah. You had a lot of groups in the early 90s.
They were pulling from the name recognition, the most notable name.
So you kind of set precedence for that.
What's funny, in Brian's first group, he had Mike Lefebvre.
Right.
And Mike had been in the industry. So that kind of took some, some humility from Mike to say, why isn't it Brian and Mike? And
right.
Sure. No, that's funny how that goes, because I would be the same way. There's no way that I would want my name attached.
I thought, oh, my goodness gracious.
Because it's that team player aspect.
Exactly.
You feel like you're not a part,
Well, the thing about it is I've always been the team player, because even with the Nelons, I loved singing parts, and that's really my strongest link. I mean, I guess not link, but my strongest point, what would that be? Would be that I could hear parts and could read the music, could do, those were my strong points. Right. And so whenever we started New River, and then the record labels would say, we predominantly would like for you to be the main voice. Well, it put me in an odd position, because everybody is the same. I wouldn't be anywhere that I'd be right now if it weren't for my sister and my husband and now my kids and Grant. Sure. I mean, so it's a team thing. And plus, I travel with bands. When you travel with live bands, listen, you have humility because those guys, they don't hold anything back. Right. So, and I just always felt like I was a band girl, it's like, because we all just, we were all there together. We're brothers and sisters. We got along so well. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want anybody to feel like that I was superior above them. Right. That's why I cleaned the bathrooms on the bus. I was the commode queen with the Nelons. I cleaned the bathroom. Wow. So when we came to New River, I don't care to clean the bathroom, because if I ask one of our members to clean the bathroom, I'm not going to ask them to do anything that I haven't done myself.
You're not willing to do, right?
So, and I know a lot of people may look at things differently than, they see us from the outside. Oh, this is all about Karen, but it really isn't. I mean, it's all about us together.
Well, and there's an old quote that I've always remembered that said, as long as the job gets done, it doesn't really matter who gets the credit. As long as you accomplish, you're accomplishing the same goal.
Well, and the thing about it is I want my group members to do well, because it affects all of us. Sure. It's like all of the gospel groups that are out there. If we're going to be in competition and be against each other, then go to another genre, because Jesus is the star. Yeah. We serve the Lord. Yep. Where in the world do we get that we have to be superior over someone else? And don't get me wrong, I know that if we sing with Gold City, I have to produce, because Gold City's going to produce every night. So you know what I'm saying? So I know that my group's going to have to produce. I'm going to have to do what I do. But you know what? All I can do is what God's given me, and that's all I can do.
Right.
And so the thing is, so if Gold City, if you, which I've always been a fan, I've always been, y'all are awesome. But when you win, we all win.
Right.
That's right.
And honestly, it's not a cliche. That is the way it is. I've been in this business 45 years. And I can see when people come in and they're cocky and they're wanting to be stars, and you see it right away. But I want to say, oh, please, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, you stand up and represent Jesus, then you're going to shine. And if that's really what you want to do, then you're going to do that.
Yeah.
But if you try to shine your own light, you're going to fall.
That's right.
Happens
talked
every
about
time.
humility last podcast with Eric Bennett, and you know how one night you're singing to several thousand people, and the next night you may be singing to 50 people. You know, that humbles you real fast.
Oh, listen, we went from the first year we went to the Grammys. Man, we were riding high. I'll tell you, we were walking that red carpet, and you know, and all those people, and you know, and it was like, oh my goodness, well, we could get used to this. The next week we got on the bus and pulled into the parking lot of the church, and the bus was bigger than the church.
Yeah.
And so Susan and I looked at each other and said, okay, God, we get it. We get it. This is not about us.
No.
Yeah.
It's never going to be about us.
Right.
Unless we try to make it be about us, and then we're just going to be disappointed.
And
we're
it
going to
won't
get
work.
discouraged.
Yep.
But when you stay focused on God and what He's called you to do, then that's when everything falls into place.
Yeah. So take us back to the beginning for you. Was Uncle Alphas was that the first group that you sang
Well, take
with?
us back before that. Take us back to upbringing and how
Well-
y'all came up in the early years and
When
mom
I was
and dad life.
Well, when I was 3, Mama used to stand me in a chair and I used to sing. And matter of fact, I see my little granddaughter that has that same desire as me, because whenever her song comes on that she sings with us when she travels with us, she literally runs down the aisle to get on the stage. I mean, it's the cutest thing, but I had that same desire. And so I love seeing that. I wish my mother could see that. Mama's gone to heaven now, but anyway, Mama would stand me in a chair when I was 3, and my 2 sisters, Susan, and I have another sister, Sandra, and we would sing. You know, we'd sing together as a trio in the car and sing at church. And then I owe so much to my mother, because Mama saw that, just that little array of hope, you know, that I could play a piano, or I was musically inclined. Right. So when I was in the 4th grade, she put me into piano lessons. And so I started taking classical piano and took it for 11 years. Wow. So I was I taught piano. I had about 16 piano students, and that's my little extra money. Made $2 a lesson.
Yeah.
I would drive to 4 of their house. So let me $2.
Yeah.
But man, I thought I was, you know, I thought I was something, but I was making some money.
Yeah.
And but I taught piano, and then when I was a sophomore in high school, my piano teacher at this time, Mama had switched me to another teacher prior to that, to the first one, and so this teacher, her name was Eliza Feldman, and she was very strict, and I was involved more in the sports area, you know, and I took chorus 1 quarter. Back then we had quarters. And but then after that, I didn't take any more chorus. And the chorus teacher would say, Karen, please take chorus. And I said, well, I got this class I'm taking. And I just didn't pursue it. Had I had known that I was going to be a professional singer, I would have pursued that. But I was taking the piano, and my piano teacher, Mrs. Feldman, would call and say, tell my mama, you need to tell her, she does not need to be a cheerleader. She does not need to do any of that stuff in school. She needs to be totally dependent on the piano. When I got my little car, which was a little junker of a car, but I was thrilled. I could have had a brand new Corvette, and I wouldn't have been anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Please, but that little 72 Pinto that didn't have a muffler or a heater.
Wow.
I covered up in the wintertime in a coat, and it didn't run half the time. The muffler was off. You could hear me coming a mile away. I was so thrilled to have that little car.
Oh, yeah. There's just something about
Absolutely.
your first car.
It's something about that first car. And so she called up Mama and said, my piano teacher said, listen, you really should get her another piano instead. And so, and I resented that. I thought, she's so mean. But she saw that I had the potential of being a better piano player. And so she would put me in all these contests, and I would be in all these competitions, and I would shake because I was so nervous playing the piano. And I still have a phobia about it to this day.
About playing piano?
In front of people.
Really?
And so, anyway, to make a long story short, because of Eliza Feldman, I was able to get a piano scholarship in college.
Wow.
So my first year of college, I was a piano major, and then the second year, I went ahead and completed the minor in music because I had taken all those classes, but I was an education major with a music minor. And then I got the call to sing professional. And I was singing in a part-time group called the Celestials with a C.
Oh, yeah.
From Demorest, Georgia. And was with them really from the time I was 16 on. Susan and I, prior to that, I know I'm jumping here, but Susan and I and our neighbor had a little girls trio called the Joyful Trio. And that was all through my grammar school, middle school, high school, and then at the end of my high school year, all of the other girls had graduated high school, didn't want to sing, so I joined my first quartet, singing alto
Wow.
with 3 guys.
How about
And
that?
here I'm, just talk on a high C and sing so high, and I'm singing alto. And then we eventually got another girl to come in and sing. But anyway, we would open for a lot of groups that were in the area, and there was a promoter, Leslie Chastain, that he heard the Joyful Trio, heard about us, and asked us to open for the Lefevres.
Yep.
In I think 1978 maybe, and that was when I saw the Rex Nelon singers. Actually, the Lefevres before they changed the name, and it was just from there.
So Rex did. All right, so Rex took over the Lefevres.
He did. So Rex
I
was
didn't
with
know
the.
that. Did you know that?
Well, that's when he changed the name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Rex traveled
I
with
never
the.
knew that.
He traveled with the Lefevres.
I knew that.
For 20 years. Then
Yeah.
all the Lefevres retired, and then he bought the name
Okay.
and changed the name to the Rex Nelon Singers.
That's how it all went.
And it was Janet
I'm learning.
Paschal, Rodney Swain, Kelly, and then eventually Kelly married Jerry.
Right.
And then it was that group. And then when Janet Paschal left, then I took her place in 1981.
But he changed the name with Janet. Was Janet with the Lefevres?
She was.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I literally never knew that. So
Yeah.
thanks for teaching me something today.
Boy,
You could have told me that.
Well, I just assume you knew.
Well, there you go, assuming again.
Well, one thing about it, though, is, when you've been here so long, there's just so much information.
Yeah.
It's like I've seen so much change, but then when I start talking about things, I'm thinking, oh, wait a second, I didn't tell you about this. So I go back and I say, oh, but the thing about it is it's a process.
Yeah.
It's like I can look back on my life now and see how everything just fell into place, God's provision through every area of my life. And the important thing is just being obedient, and being willing to open. Because a lot of times you say, well, I don't want to do that because that's not where I want to be. But you have to be there in order to get you over to where you want to be or where you feel like you need to be. Yep. But I was 16 years old at practice at school when I saw a bus pulling up at the school. And I went home and Mama said, there's a concert. There's a group called the Hoppers that's going to be at the high school. And so you want to go? And I said, nah, I don't have anything to wear. And she said, I'll find you something to wear. So Susan, my sister, and Mama and the piano player for the Joyful Trio, we all went, and we were sitting in the bleachers that night, and I just fell in love with them. And that night is when I rededicated my life to the Lord.
Wow.
At 16 at the Hoppers concert.
Now, was that the Hopper brothers and Connie? Was that still the brothers?
Well, Will was there.
Okay.
It was Kurt and Roger
Oh yeah.
and
okay.
Will and Connie and Claude.
Okay.
Wow.
And I think Will was there. I think that's right.
Yeah.
But that was the night that the promoter Leslie Chastain had heard that the Joyful Trio, part of the Joyful Trio, was there, and had invited us to open for his concert coming up, which was the Lefevres.
Wow.
Eventually the Rex Nelon Singers. And so, and I'm so thankful that I went to that concert that night.
Yeah. He used to come around when we would sing up in that part of Georgia, and that's the first thing he would talk. He said, "Now I'm the one that helped Karen Peck get her start." He's so proud of that.
Hey,
And he
Leslie,
really did.
God rest his soul. But he really did a lot. He did.
Yeah.
And one thing I always said about Leslie Chastain is he was a weekend warrior. I mean, buddy, if he liked you, everybody knew it. And so, and I've told several groups around home that he would help around the area. I'd say, if he believes in you, buddy, that's all he's going to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So
Well, he was proud of you.
was that in Dahlonega? Was that where you were raised?
What's funny, no, I was actually born and raised in Gainesville, Georgia,
Okay.
which is just 20 miles
Yeah, it's
or
just-
30 miles south of Dahlonega.
Right.
But the first time that I went, when we opened the first concert, we opened, the Joyful Trio opened for the Lefevres, was in Dahlonega.
Really?
So, and now I live there.
Yeah.
And, it's like my husband was actually living in that town at the time, and I had no idea.
Is that where he's from?
He is.
Okay. So did he know any of the Gold City Boys back in the day? Or?
He knew of them.
Okay.
But matter of fact, his nephew, by marriage, went to school with Greg Ritchie and
wow,
with Danny.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I've asked him before too. He knew a lot of the Grindles that when
Grindle Holler.
when the Rileys moved to Dahlonega, when Gold City got their start, they rented from a family called the Grindles, their property, and rented houses from them. And
Grindle
Ricky
Holler,
said he
if you know
grew
what
up
that
with
is.
a lot of that family.
they all know each other. That back then, that was when Dahlonega was very, very small. Atlanta's moved to toward Dahlonega. Y'all going to be at our homecoming.
Really?
I'm
Yeah,
so
we're excited
excited.
about that.
I just thought of that too, but I'm excited for y'all to come back. And I'm excited for Danny to see how Dahlonega has grown.
That's going to be neat. He came a few years ago. He and
He took his daughter.
he and Tessa
Yep.
came over for just like a spring break thing,
Yeah.
and saw some of Dahlonega and rode around and saw some. So that's been a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it'll be neat for us to go back to the city that Gold
Where
City
it all
got its
started.
start. Yeah.
Floyd Beck. He was
Yeah.
such a nice man.
Yeah. Crazy.
How about that?
So,
Yeah.
what songs? I didn't ask you this last time, but what songs had Janet done with the Nelons that you immediately had to start singing? What hit songs? Were there already some big hit songs? that
Yes,
were-
We Shall Wear Robe and Crown.
she had done that originally.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was like top 5.
Oh, that's
on the
probably
radio.
my favorite.
And then
Nelon song.
Come Morning.
Yeah.
And let's see what else. Well, they had done The Sun's Coming Up. That's Kelly's lead, but
Right.
that was a big song then.
It's a big song.
And my goodness, so many songs. But see, y'all, I know that y'all are guys, but I have to share this for all the ladies that are listening. So when I used to have a poster, it was like when I saw the Rex Nelon Singers and I saw Kelly and Janet, I thought those girls are beautiful.
Yeah.
And their dresses were beautiful.
They
and
dressed the same. It
Yeah,
was
they
all of
did.
that
Back
same
then,
look.
they
the guys
dressed-
dressed the same.
Yeah. And so they had a poster that they had signed, and I had it on the side of my wall next to my bed. And I remember literally, I graduated high school, was going to college, and I listened to them all the time. I had a little cassette player in the bomb of the car that I had, and I would listen to them every day going to, to school, and I would just tear up, say, but I would look at them on that poster at night and look at their faces and say, Lord, if you cannot put me with that group, will you put me with one just like them? Yeah. And the Lord gave me that group. So
that?
whenever I got the call from Rex Nelon. And back when I traveled with Alphas Lefevre, Rex is the one that got me the job because I had just finished my sophomore year of college. And honestly, and it's so funny, I tell this, but the night before, I was at a friend's house, and on the way home, it was a country road, and I just remember just crying and just having a moment with God and said, God, I want to sing so bad, but if that's not your will for me to sing full time, I'll sing on the weekends and be a school teacher. Yeah. And I'm good with that. And I'd had a really good year at college, and I was settling into that. The very next day is when I get a call from Rex Nelon, because we had opened for them in in Gainesville area every time they would come around, and which was Leslie Chastain would book them very often. Yeah. And so I was familiar with Rex, and and he had told me before, and I said, I'd love to sing full time. How do I do it? He said, if you'll give me a cassette of yourself and a resume and a picture, I'll see what I can do. Well, he had that. And so whenever he called me, he had my information, he called me, and I was a nanny for 2 children. And he had called where I was working, and he said, Alphas Lefevre is looking for a soprano, and I think this would be a great experience for you. It'd give you some experience of being on the road. And he said, I think you should consider it. And I said, okay. Well, so my parents drove me to Atlanta, and I auditioned and got the job. Well, then throughout the year, whenever I would see Rex or whatever, he said, hey, if Janet ever left, then you're the one I'm looking at.
Wow.
And I thought, he probably tells everybody that. It's like I had high hopes, but I would be excited, but there was always that, and don't get your hopes up, because for one thing, nobody can replace her, and I'm not just saying that. Nobody can replace her.
Oh, yeah. She was incredible.
Incredible. Yeah. So whenever we had come, we were on a long trip out west, and we had gotten back, Alphas Lefevre, the group, and I was home, and I got a call, and I picked up the phone, and it was Rex. And he said, Karen, he said, Janet Paschal is leaving, and if you want the job, it's yours.
Did your heart just go to beating like crazy when he called?
Oh, my gosh. And my daddy was not a man of a lot of words, but he was standing in the doorway, and he was grinning, and I thought, and I said, okay, when do you want me to try out? When do you want me to audition? He said, do you think you need to audition? And I went, I don't know. He said, as far as I'm concerned, you're hired.
Oh, wow.
So he hired me over the phone, and Daddy said, I knew it. And that was, I loved it when he said that, because Daddy, was not one to say, oh, I'm proud of you. Right. And, but I could tell from his facial expressions. Yeah. And so, but anyway, Rex sent me all of these cassettes, but I knew most of them.
You're right.
And so I knew the songs.
He was ready.
They were my favorite. Yeah. They were my favorite group. So I knew my part. And so there again, I'm a parts person. Right. And so he never had to worry about calling a song I didn't know. So when I got there, and then the first rehearsal, I went in there thinking I was pretty good. I did. I cried all the way home. Oh. I said, I am not good. No, this is not.
What was it about that? What made you feel that way?
Because I am so young at heart. You know what I'm saying? I still am to a degree, but Lord have mercy. Janet was the icing on the cake. I mean, she was this smooth singer, and and they had an album that was coming out, and I went in June. The album was coming out in August, and he had given me Janet's solo on that record, which was started, just an old rejected relic, and I'm just an old rejected relic. I didn't know. I said, oh my gosh. Felt green, I could tell that they knew I was not Janet. Well. And even though I was strong in the parts, but when it came to the lead, it was like I'm straight, just that straight singer. And I know, I mean, honestly, I know good when I hear it.
Yeah.
And Janet was above average, and I was okay. You know what I'm saying? And that's not false humility. But anyway, and singer, I literally cried all the way home, and I said, God, I don't know. I don't know about the. I mean, I'm not that good.
Janet could really emote a song. That was
she
it was
owns
like
the room.
yeah. It's that taking over of, and that was something with. So that's exactly the way I felt when I went in the studio with Gary Jones for the first time with Mercy's Mark. It was I had never sang professionally. You probably felt very similar.
Yeah.
When you go into a professional setting.
Yes.
And it's you can't. I couldn't even. It was hard for me to even understand the concept of doing what he was asking me to do. And there was a light bulb moment for me with him the first time that I was in the studio. I got so frustrated. Singing a song. And I'm one of those guys that, no, I'm going to get it. We'll stay here all night, but I'm going to get it.
Oh, listen,
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
Till the cows come home.
We were in there on a song, and it was like 10 o'clock, and we'd been recording all day. And we had done things like, that's when we recorded We Shall See Heaven Someday,
Yeah.
and the stuff that was in my wheelhouse.
Right.
But then he put me on a song that you really had to emote. So he's trying to pull that out of me for the first time. And he said, listen, he said, let's we're going to be back in here tomorrow. Let's just go grab something to eat. Get some rest. We'll come back here in the morning. You'll knock it out. I said, nope, let's do it now. And he said, okay. Well, I know what he was thinking. I know and you knew Gary. So I knew that he was sitting back, probably not even listening, just looking at the walls. And I said, forget it. We'll do it tomorrow. And I'll be doggone. And I was so defeated. And I'm sure that's what you were feeling. It was just that defeated side of what he was asking me to do that I couldn't do at that moment.
Well, you're thinking, this is my dream job.
Right.
And am I going to please them?
Yeah. Or am I going to blow it?
Is this going to be,
Yeah.
Are they regretting this? And
Right.
But, buddy, we stayed with it. But I'll tell you this, and I said this earlier for the ladies. I mean, when I was able to, I could wear Janet's clothes, so whenever I put on those sequin dresses.
So she didn't get to leave with her clothes. That had to stay.
That stayed because they were wearing the same clothes.
Because they were matching.
They were
of course.
matching.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And I was the same size, and I would wear her clothes. I felt like Cinderella in those dresses. I mean, the first NQC, I was shaking. I was like this. And matter of fact, we came off the stage, and Kelly said, I've never seen anybody shake so much in my life. I said, I know, I was so nervous. But those clothes, being able to wear those clothes and stand up on that stage multiple times. I was there for almost 10 years. There were hardly ever nights that I would be standing on that stage that I don't think, Lord, I am living my dream. That's why I never thought about starting a group.
Yeah.
Because I never thought I could, for one thing, but I never even knew what that meant. I was never there thinking, oh, this is going to be a stepping stone so I can go to this or start my own thing or go to another group. Never in my thought process. And not
you were with your dream group at that
I was
point.
with my dream group. I was absolutely there, and they were so good, and we were really ahead of our time. Kelly and I always talked about it because working with Larry Goss on every project, and I mean we sang on pitch. We had to sing on pitch, and you can't sing with Kelly Nelon unless you sing on pitch because it's like you concentrate your pitch. I learned to concentrate my pitch because Rex, singing with a bass singer, and I sing so high, my note would it would parallel with his.
Yeah.
And so it's the same note, and so I had to constantly concentrate my pitch. And the thing is, we did videos, we recorded videos, and back then you didn't have Pro Tools and all that stuff.
It was all live.
You go through and live, you do it right the first time. You have to. That's being a professional.
Yeah.
So
and
Larry
I
Goss,
learned a lot.
Larry Goss was that. I forgot about Larry being the producer. So you were working with the master.
Oh, the master. And we drove him crazy. Because we literally depended on our ears, and Kelly and I worked so well together because we had really good ears.
Yeah.
And so, Kelly, did you hear that? I heard it. And Larry goes, y'all, I think y'all are hearing things. I don't think so. And Larry was the master.
So something to being off,
so
you mean? Off note or something?
Yeah,
something
like,
right.
I think I shaded that just a little bit.
Wow.
And Kelly would say, did you hear that? I said, yeah. I mean, but it's not much, not bad. We need to fix that. Well, we drove him crazy one night. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, and now you shut down at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But back then in the 80s, buddy, we worked till the wee hours of the morning, and so finally it was probably about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and Larry said, "Listen, I want to tell y'all something." He went into the room. Rex did not hear it, and he told Kelly and Jerry and I. He said, "If y'all can get this in the next hour, I'll give each one of you $100 from the budget, but don't you tell your dad." That was gold to us. I was broke.
Absolutely.
That's gold.
That was in the 80s.
That's in the 80s.
That's a
I
lot of
said,
money.
and Kelly said, "Oh, we'll get it." We'll get it.
Extra
And
motivation.
we
He was
got
ready to
it.
go home.
And so what's so funny is a few weeks later, Kelly called it long distance, which cost money back then
Right.
to call long distance. She called me at home. She said, "Karen, Daddy has seen the budget, and he sees a $300 bill here, and he's asking me, what was that for?" And she said, "Whatever you do, do not tell him." So, I mean, it's
So did
like,
you ever?
no.
He never knew.
No, I don't think to this till the day he passed.
Yeah,
he
he never
never
knew.
knew. No, we didn't tell him.
He probably racked his brain for days trying to
Wondering
figure
why that
out where that
$300.
money
I
was.
know.
How Larry beat him out of $300.
$300. I know. I don't know where that $300. What that's about. So
is so
unless
funny.
knowing Rex, he may have known and just wanted to see
Yeah.
if we would, because Rex was that way. He was a jokester. A lot of people didn't know that about Rex, but he was such a classy man. But buddy, if he ever got a joke on you, you are done. He will. And listen, he'll find you weak points.
Oh, wow.
And if he knows something bothers you, he'll bring it home.
Yeah.
And so there's all kinds of stuff I could tell y'all. I don't know if I should tell it or not. I might, but there's one thing that I will tell. So about a few weeks, I talked to him a week before he passed away, but he just called me every now and then to check on me. "How's your bus doing?"
Wow.
Because the first thing that Elders Fox, Maurice Templeton, and Rex Nelon told me when we started New Rivers, whatever you do, do not buy a bus. So what did we go out and do? We bought a bus.
Absolutely.
Because we had so many people,
Oh, yeah. Full band
but that
and
bus
everything.
broke down.
So how many did you have on the bus?
We had a full band. We had
Four-piece band?
Yeah, we had, at the time, it was Danny Crawford. The very first band was Danny Crawford, Brian Sutton,
Golly.
and James Monroe, and David Owen. And Ricky, my husband, he played acoustic.
So five-piece
So we had a
band.
5-piece band.
And then
Wow.
three
And
singers.
then the 3 singers.
And then did they just take turns driving?
They
Or
did.
did you have- okay.
And nobody could drive. It was a stick shift. Nobody could drive the bus. So we'd get on the bus and you'd hear a noise in the back. "Ought to be fine." We'd be stuck on the side of the road, and I'd give anything if we had written down the stories that we were broken down. There was one time that we all got back thinking we could push the bus out of the way. There ain't no way you can push
Oh, no.
a 40-foot bus.
No.
And I mean, we have so many funny stories. But I will say this, that bus broke down. We had to have an engine in that bus. The first
no.
3 years we had, the only 3 years, we put a new engine in that bus every year.
Wow.
I'm telling you right now, when we hear a noise on our bus, we pull that bus over.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, because it's not
That's
going to
not
go
cheap.
away.
No.
Know a little something about buses. Now, so what was the funny story? So you had bought the bus, and then they had told you not to buy the bus.
To not buy the bus. Well, I'll tell y'all a funny story, and I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all. I should not tell this, but because this is going to be forever.
This is a double take exclusive.
This is
here.
a story about Rex Nelon.
If you have regrets about it, we can edit it out.
But we're not going to, so go ahead.
Well, we were sitting on the bus one day, and we were talking, and the sun was shining on my face, and I had a little whisker right here on my chin. He went, "What is that?" And I went, "What?" He said, "You got a whisker." I said, "I do not. I do not." He said, "Yes, you do." He said, "You could plait it. That is so long." And when he saw that it bothered me,
It
then
was
he
on,
started,
wasn't it?
"It's on."
It was on.
I mean, he would twist his hand like he would go, and anytime I'd walk into the room, he'd do I'd go, because one thing is that, we don't want any hair on our face.
Right, no.
And so, I said, "It is not bad. It's not. No, it's not." He said, "Oh, look how long that is. That is long as my hair." And when he saw that it was bothering me, he ragged me forever. The night that he got inducted into the Southern Gospel Hall of Fame, of course, I started New River, and I still did it. every time I'd see him, it'd be like this.
Immediately.
And he was up on that stage, and we were sitting out there. It was back then. It was in Gatlinburg back then we had dinners, and then they would have the induction.
Yeah.
So he was on that platform, and Ricky and I were sitting at our table, and he looked down at me and he went, from the stage. I went,
from the stage.
You did not.
That is
you
fantastic.
did not do that. And so, but
nobody knew but you and him,
no.
and that is so. But you were horrified.
Horrified. Horrified. And
That's great.
And I would come into the church, say, Rex, I said, where's the restroom? He said, you go upstairs, and it's right there on the right. And I'd go upstairs, and he could hear me walking.
There wasn't restrooms
He could hear,
upstairs.
and I would try so hard to find another way to come down than to have to come down that same set of stairs. And he would just be rolling. He said, I could hear you up there walking, trying to find another way to come, to get out. He would just laugh. He loved to tease me. And so, but the funniest thing was we were at a fair. And so he said, okay, everybody, you're on your own eating. So just meet back at this particular time. And we said, okay. So I came off the bus. He was coming down the hill. I can see it to this day. I said, Rex, where's the food? He said, just right up there. So just go straight up the hill and take a left and go all the way to the end. And so I said, okay. So I went up the hill by myself, took a left at the end. The workers in the fair were out there taking showers.
Oh, no.
I screamed. And he heard me. He heard me scream. And I turned around, and I could see him. He was literally doubled over in front of the bus, like bent, doubled over, laughing, just up against the bus, just hysterical. And I was so mad. I said, I cannot believe you did that. So anyway.
But he could get away with stuff like that because, it's like we play pranks on each other all the time, but he was your boss.
Yeah.
So he knew he could do this, and you couldn't get too mad at him because he's the one that signed your check.
I thought I got him, though.
There's only so much we can do with Danny.
Oh no, yeah.
Well,
they can tease you, but
we haven't found the limit yet, though. So we're still trying.
Well, but I thought I had him because he called me one day and he said, Karen, he said after his wife had passed and he said, Karen, he said, I want you to know. He said, I've been dating Judy Spencer. And I said, yeah. I said, I'd heard that. I said, I'm so happy for you. And he said, well, I asked her to marry me, and we're getting married. And I went, oh my gosh. He went, what? I said, I finally have gotten you out of all these years. All of these years, I've got you. He said, what? I said, well, Judy's maiden name is Peck. And he went, well, yeah, before she already had me hooked before I realized that. So I really thought I had him. I really got him, though, because he was actually marrying a Peck. So, but I will say this, he was a genius. He was good at what he did. He was very fair, very strict.
Great businessman.
Very, very strict.
Yeah.
With us girls, especially with having his daughter, on the bus, and with me too. But we could not wear sleeveless outfits, no sleeveless dresses.
And
could not wear your hair all the way up. It's too different. Halfway up. To this day, I never wear my hair up.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid he's looking at me. And then. But he could hear parts. Not only was Rex a bass singer, but he was a singer.
Oh, yeah. Great singer.
And, if we missed a part, hey, Karen, on this song, that third line on this note, you missed that. You need to fix that. This is what your note would be. And, he knew exactly. He could hear. He knew when you missed.
Oh, yeah.
But he would sit on the bus and he would listen to bluegrass, loved bluegrass. He loved the Statesman. And he loved the old Stamps Baxter books. Of course, he owned the publishing.
Right,
He'd bought that publishing. And he would at night, we always stopped at 7-Elevens. And he usually didn't stop at restaurants, but would stop at a convenience store, and he would get a pack of combos, some apple juice, a Diet Coke.
Good grief.
Did I say combos?
Yeah,
the combos.
Yeah.
Sometimes peanuts, and a National Enquirer. Anyway, go in his room. We had rooms on the bus, and his room was next to mine, and I could hear him through the wall playing that bluegrass music, or or playing the Statesman, or he'd be sitting in there, and I could hear him going do re mi. He loved to do the shape notes, and he'd be singing along with the shape notes. Wow. He was just incredible. I've spent a lot of time on the podcast talking about Rex Nelon, but I can't say enough good things.
Well, he was a great leader and a good man. When you decided to leave, though, I'm sure that was hard for you.
Oh, it was terrible.
Was it hard for him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing about it is they knew they were just, my favorites. But whenever Ricky and I had gotten married, we were married a year and a half. We were traveling about 300 days a year, including the days we're leaving. So New River's 180 to 2. And so, we were gone nonstop, but we wanted to start a family. And I remember getting up one morning. Rex was talking about doing those 3 for 10 specials, 3 for 10 cassettes. And I thought, I cannot go in and record 3 projects with them and then leave. Right. And that wouldn't be fair. So I got up one morning. We were having rehearsal that day, and I said, Ricky, this is the day that I'm going to quit. Because we had been rehearsing with New River prior to that some, but I just could not get up enough nerve to leave. Because I knew that when I left the Nelons, my career was over. Yeah. And we would just be singing around home, no doubt. This is, and there again, the false humility. It's not false humility. I knew my career was over. And so Ricky said, he said, I'll play in your band. I said, okay. I said, we'll sing around home. I cried. And so on the way there, I remember walking into his office, and I told him, I said, Ricky and I really want to start a family, and we're going to start a group and sing around home. And so he said, I understand. He was so gracious. That was in August. And he said, can you stay at least till November, because we're doing the West Coast tour? Mm-hmm. And I said, absolutely. So little did I know that whenever the word got out that I was leaving at the NQC in September, then all these people, started coming to me and said, hey, we'd love you to come to our church. Oh, wow. So I didn't realize I'm a people person. And so I didn't realize I had met so many people for the last 10 years, and these people really wanted to help, and they really wanted to hear my group. And then Elders Fox, of course, prior to that, with Rex's blessing, Anthony Berger and Mickey Gamble came to me and said, hey, would you be good if we did a solo project on you? This was back even before I got married. I started laying the vocals for that project. And I said, a solo project? I said, I don't know. And then they said, well, we'll ask Rex. And so Elders went to Rex, and Rex said, sure, that's fine. And so because of that, I knew that I knew I had recorded there at Pinnacle Records, and then I knew that Elders was going to give us a record deal along with Anthony and Jeff Collins, and then the rest
for you, and you didn't even realize.
And because of Tim Riley with Gold City and Elders Fox, Elders got us with Becky Simmons' agency, which at the time was with Sonny Simmons.
Yeah, Century 2.
Century 2. Yeah. And then the rest is history.
That's amazing. Let's do this, because we're pushed up against the clock like we typically are with these things. There's so much more we want to get into. And this has been really neat, because we've learned stuff this time that we didn't get before. So if we can, let's just make this part 1 and go do sound check, and then we'll come back maybe next week or something when we're with you again, and we'll get part 2 and finish this whole story out. Is that okay with you?
Perfect. Y'all, I want to thank y'all for this. This is fun, because y'all pulling it out. It's like, oh my goodness. So this is great.
Well,
thank y'all, because I'm loving the memories.
It's so interesting to our friends and fans that listen that they don't know these stories. There's so much that we learned and we know a lot about what's going on, but there's so many that don't know these stories. So that's what we really try to do with this podcast. So we'll come back next time with part 2.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Karen.